and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylin. I'm a PhD student in History and African American Studies at Yale University, and today I'm just going to do a little vlog. It might be just today, it might be a couple days, I'm not entirely sure yet, but today I'm working at home. I have quite a bit of work to get done. I have multiple essays to get done for finals, so I'm actually going to take you guys through my research process, or the process of beginning to write papers for finals, because I know that that type of information is stuff that I would have liked to see when I was an undergrad thinking about going to graduate school, or was in graduate school looking for some tips. I will walk you through the process as I start working on my final essays today, and I also have a little bit of work business-wise that I need to get done. So I'm gonna go ahead and compile my to-do list and get working. My latest video just went up, which was 10 things I wish I knew before starting my PhD. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that and respond to comments as they come in. I have my coffee on the ready. I went and got an iced cold brew from Phil's, as well as an everything bagel, so I'm all set to go. I'm gonna head on to Zoom to hang out with Katie and Danielle, hopefully get some group study done, and I will check in with you guys in a little while. Alright, so it is currently on a 5-minute break during the accountability workshop. I worked with Katie and Danielle for a little while, and now I'm doing the workshop, and I'm really excited because I have some readings today that I am just really excited about. So there is a talk today at Columbia at the Legal History Forum. It's like a working group for legal historians, and typically it's like closed to the public, but I emailed the two professors running the forum and asked if I could join. It is a talk given by Stephanie Jones-Rogers. She's a professor at Berkeley, and she is writing this book currently all about the Afro-Atlantic origins of descent law, which is directly applicable with my dissertation. If anything, I'm reading through this and finding that a lot of the same information is included within this that I discussed in my dissertation, but I'm interested to see how she argues it. I'm only on page 4 out of 32, and I am just like digging into the footnotes and everything, and I'm just so excited. It's just really fun to kind of get into some of the work that will culminate in my dissertation later down the line. Like I said in my video about 10 things I wish I knew before starting my PhD, it's just important to do readings outside of class, and so I am doing this one and attending the forum, and I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. And that all being said, I also have some reading that I'm going to be doing for my paper for History 500. I'm also really excited about that paper because I'm going to be looking at sexual encounters across time and space. So I'm looking at this one book which talks about transgenerational sexual encounters in the Victorian era, and then looking at 3 other books related to interracial and intergenerational sex in the American colonies, and specifically looking at the institution of slavery. That's a paper that I haven't really worked on before. It looks at some different types of theoretical and methodological framings that I'm interested to kind of dig into and see how that may change my perception of my project. And so just stuff that I'm really excited to be digging into. But the 5-minute break is almost over, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back to it. But I just wanted to check in with you guys and let you know what I'm up to. So that's what's going on, and I'll check in a little while. All right, all done with the accountability workshop. It is a couple hours later. I am really excited because the reading that I did for the talk later today that I told you about earlier, the thesis of it just completely changes how I'm going to work the first section of my dissertation, or at least my conception of my dissertation at this point in time. Stephanie Jones-Rogers essentially argues that while historians have made arguments saying that participium reventorum originated from Roman law or kind of Eurocentric laws such as French legal precedent, Spanish legal precedent, even Islamic legal precedent, or English, that we should actually be looking to West Africa for kind of the intellectual and legal origins of matrilineal descent law, which is just brilliant. And I'm so excited excited for the talk today. I'm gonna go ahead and actually go to a Transfer Nation like happy hour thing for about 30 minutes, talk with some other community college advocates, and then go to the talk. And then after that, figure out some food because it is now 3 o'clock and I have not eaten anything since breakfast. That's what's going on, but today is a very good day. I'm really loving the reading and everything that I've done so far, so I'm just gonna continue on and I'll check in with you guys in a little while. All right, so I had a big kerfuffle and actually got the date wrong for that talk, so I'm gonna go ahead and email that professor and ask her a little bit about her work. I feel nervous doing that, but it's important to network and I really want to talk to her about her research. So I will be doing that. I ended up spending the rest of the afternoon working on client documents and looking over some of the literature for my History 500 paper. My plan for tomorrow is to put a draft together or at least get a full outline and introduction written. That's all I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I have one client I need to meet with. I'm going to go ahead and actually give myself a little bit of grace and take the evening off. I got everything done today that I really wanted to and feel really good about my dissertation. I'm actually really excited to talk to my advisor about it. And I'm gonna actually spend the evening just watching a movie with Liam, trying to get to bed at a semi-reasonable hour. Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, and this video should be going up on Sunday. So you guys are seeing recent history. So I have been thinking long and hard about how I want to approach my History 500 essay. So the prompt of the assignment is essentially a book review of 4 different books, and one has to be kind of outside of your like time period or subfield. So I want to write an essay on historicizing sexual encounter. The frustrating thing about that is that I left all of the books that I wish I could use at my apartment in New Haven. And I wish that I had them just because it would be nice to read from the physical book. But luckily, all the books that I chose do have an online copy through Yale's library. That works out well for me. But my plan is to look at Rachel Hope Cleave's most recent book, Unspeakable: A Life Beyond Morality, and use that as my kind of assessment of historicizing intergenerational sex. And then I'm going to look at Estelle Friedman's Redefining Rape. I read that during a history seminar when I was at UCLA on sexual violence. And then the third book I want to look at is Wayward Lives by Alice Weinbaum. She kind of coined the theory of the race reproductive bind, which has been used within my own work and was used very heavily within my dissertation when I was at Oxford. Her book, the full title, by the way, is Wayward Reproductions: Genealogies of Race and National in Transatlantic Modern Thoughts. So it's a very theoretical text for history, but I think that it's a great place to start. And then my fourth book is going to be Redefining Rufus by Thomas Foster, I believe. I wish I had the book with me because I'm worried I'm not going to be able to find an online copy. But that book is about sexual violence enacted against enslaved men and boys. So I'm essentially trying to look at different types of sexual encounter. So in Rachel Hope Cleave's book, she says, "For this reason, I use the word encounter to describe Douglas's sexual relations with children and youth. The word encounter is capacious. Encounter can be violent, coercive, willing, or enthusiastic. The word does not preclude assault, nor does it imply assault." So the reason I'm using the word encounter is due to her particular definition. This is going into a realm of sexuality history that I haven't really gone into before. So it's going to be interesting kind of comparing and contrasting those 4 pieces. It gives me a bunch of different ideas how to apply them theoretically in my future work. So that is the plan for today. I'm just going to go through the text and kind of write out an outline. My plan is to have an introduction and hopefully a body paragraph written. It's due in 3 days, so I have plenty of time, but I just want to make sure that I'm making a move on it. But that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and keep working. All right, so I basically mapped out my plan for the general outline. I'm gonna start with talking about Estelle Freedman's Redefining Rape and basically looking at the way that she historicizes certain terms, such as the term rape under social and legal historical contexts, and then also looking at how she defines kind of consent and agency and putting her in conversation with Saidiya Hartman. And there's also another article called On Agency. So going to be talking a little bit about that. And then section 2 is going to be talking about Alice Weinbaum's theory of the race reproductive mind, looking specifically at the institution of slavery and sexual violence, particularly forced reproduction. Section 3 is going to look at sexual violations across gendered lines, which is where I'm going to look at Thomas Foster's book on sexual violations of enslaved men and boys. And then section 4 is going to look at intergenerational sex as it pertains to the way that Rachel Hope Cleaves talks about it in Unspeakable. So that's kind of the structure as of right now. I like how it flows and how it's coming together. I also want to put it in conversation with Saidiya Hartman, who essentially asks historians of Black history, one, like, what is our purpose in writing these histories? And basically questioning, like, are you doing this out of seeking comfort or seeking some kind of resolution, which there can't be due to the violence enacted against the subjects that we study. And additionally, she asks whether by studying these institutions of violence and like reusing these sources, whether we are in fact kind of reascribing that violence. And additionally, there's another layer of violence of myself being a white scholar studying Black female subjects or even Black male subjects and writing papers on it. I acknowledge the place where I stand within that discussion and that it is not necessarily my discussion to have, but I think it's work that's important, and I know how important these works of literature, specifically written by Black female scholars, has been for my own knowledge. I think it's important to continue to have these conversations and to continue talking about the historicization of sexual violence, but that's obviously contestable, and so I want to add a discussion within my paper about that. But I wanted to tell you guys about that and the way I'm thinking about it, because I know you guys like hearing about what I'm studying and what I'm writing and everything, and I also want to tell you guys what finals are like as a PhD student. So I have this paper, which is 15 pages, and it is essentially like a 4-part book review. And then I have a primary source review, which is going to be about 12 pages, and that's looking at a legal document. I'm looking at a court case from the 17th century in colonial Virginia. And then my other paper that I'm writing is a research prospectus, and that's going to be on a section of my dissertation. I think I want to essentially kind of use this discussion within this paper to expand upon it, looking at specifically the kind of repercussions or results of having enacted Parta Sequitur Venturum on the institution of slavery, specifically as it pertains to women's reproductive labor, how that later led to natural increase within the colony and then essentially made the transatlantic slave trade negligible, and then there wasn't a need for a continued importation because the rate of increase was growing and there was an internal slave trade between the colonies of like Virginia and South Carolina through to like Mississippi and Louisiana. I know that was all like a lot of information and it probably didn't make any sense, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. I hope you enjoyed that little rant, and I'm just gonna keep working and I'll kind of take you guys through the process as I figure it out myself, but I think I have a general idea. Now what I'm gonna do is go back into the literature. I like to start every introduction with some kind of historical anecdote to ground the subject and to center the experiences of historical actors. And so I'm basically just going to go back into the work and see who I want to put at the forefront and start that conversation. So that's what I'm going to do now. That's probably the hardest part for me, is like getting started, hoping I can get a solid outline put together, and I'm going to try to get this introduction written. so it's a little while later. I have a pretty solid outline now, and I actually have part of the introduction written, which is honestly a huge feat because I'm so picky about writing introductions and I like where it's headed. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually end the vlog here. I'm still gonna be working tonight, but I need to actually edit this video and get it up for you all tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoy this one and a little sneak peek into how I prepare for my essays. I really enjoyed being able to actually talk about my work a little bit more. So if there's anything else you guys would like to know, then just ask away. If you guys enjoyed this one, please remember to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And if you are not yet subscribed, then hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so that you're notified when I post next. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone.